Welcome to Coast Creatives, a podcast for and about working professional artists within the entertainment industry. I'm Joe Funk, and here we interview actors, directors, photographers, writers, and many, many more. Today, we'll be chatting with Diane Foster, Alison Lobel, and Kelly Grant. Together, they form the creative powerhouse behind the upcoming film, Easter, Bloody Easter. Alison discusses the writing process for this film, and how it feels to watch her first full-length screenplay be brought to life. Kelly, stepping into the role of producer, talks about the act of juggling the technical and artistic sides of production, and how her role as an actor informed her judgment in her new role. And Diane, the director and star of Easter Bloody Easter, provides insight ranging from the hiring of department heads to seeking domestic and international distribution. Please check out the links in the show notes to see how you yourself can watch this film, and please be sure to go and pre-order your copy today on iTunes. All right, let's dive on in with Diane, Alison, and Kelly of Easter Bloody Easter. We are now rolling. Everything you're saying is recorded and can be used in a court of law. Welcome, everybody. How are we all doing today?
Awesome. Great.
I love it. I love to hear it. You're all calling in from Los Angeles area, and with us we have Diane Foster, Alison Lobel, and Kelly Grant. How is it going?
It's amazing. It is a whirlwind experience releasing a film, and we are moving and grooving and talking to a million people, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Very, very grateful.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything quite like this because, I've been working on many indies throughout the years, but never have gotten like press and like a big premiere. So it's really just so exciting. I can't wait.
And the premiere is the end of March, correct?
Yes, at the New Art Theater.
And this has been quite a process, especially for you, Alison, because you are the writer of this project. How long have you been working on Easter Bloody Easter?
I wrote it in 2020,
okay.
And it took me probably like 3 months to write. And then I showed it to Diane and Kelly, and they really loved it. And we're like, let's make this movie. And I spent probably about 2 or 3 months doing more rewrites in 2021. And then we shot it, and now it's coming out.
I love that.
I'm so excited.
So many people have those stories about writing and creating projects during the COVID times, during the lockdown times, when it's like, I have nothing else to do. I'm locked in my apartment. What can I do to be creative?
Exactly.
And you three of you have worked together, known each other for years now. Give us a little bit of a backstory on your relationship.
Yeah, we have known each other a long time and have worked together several times, and it's just been amazing. We met at acting school in Beverly Hills, and we actually did a play together in Beverly Hills and San Francisco. And that sort of set everything off because we loved working together so much, and both, shows went really, really well. And we were like, we want to keep doing this. And actually, at first, we were going to take it on the road. We were talking about doing the play in Texas. We were talking about doing it in New York. And then the pandemic hit. And we were like, okay, we kind of have to shift because we can't do the play anymore because, nobody can go out and see us and you can't be in a public forum. And then Alison wrote the movie. And it was just sort of a perfect balance of everything. It was the experience that we had working together on the play, and then her incredible, beautiful mind of making this world of Easter, Bloody Easter, and, putting them together. It was really exciting to then go on a journey of making a film together, which is a whole different thing than doing a theatrical production.
Oh, yeah. Very, very different experience. And you all wear multiple hats on this project as well. Let's go down the line and explain your various roles within Easter Bloody Easter.
Okay, I guess I'll begin. I am the director, star of the film, and producer. And the production company that I have, WallyBird Productions, was the one who put the movie together.
Hi, I'm Alison Lobel, and I'm the writer, and I'm also an actor in the film and a producer. And I actually composed a couple songs, but we have an amazing composer also who did the rest of the music Mark Vogel, he is incredible, and he made this incredible tapestry of scary sounds for all the monsters.
Yes, I saw something in writing about the music, and I can't wait to get into that later. And Kelly, how about you?
I'm Kelly Grant, and I wore the hat of actor and first-time producer.
Amazing. So yeah, you're all balancing so much within this project, and this sounds like quite a unique project. Let me direct this question at you, Alison, since you are the writer. Without getting into any spoilers, give us a little overview of the plot.
Sure. Easter Bloody Easter. It's a horror comedy about an evil Easter bunny, a jackalope, destroying a small town Texas's Easter celebration. So yeah, they get warnings about these evil bunnies that are coming, but they put on the Easter celebration anyway, and there's a lot of gore and death and hilarity that ensues.
I think it's funny when I hear you describe these scripts that you work on. I've talked to you about several of your scripts before, and you are just such a light, bubbly person. And then you come out with there's comedy, but you come out with some horror films. So there's some gore in there. Where does this come from?
That's a good point. I'm actually a scaredy cat too, so I can't watch really scary movies. But I think that's the reason I like writing horror, is because the way my brain works is that I have an overactive imagination, and so I picture the creepiest, grossest things, and so I can put them on paper very easily because they're what keep me up at night. And actually, that's how I got the inspiration for this film. It was during the pandemic. I was taking a bath and I heard little skittering noises on my rooftop. And I was like, listen, it's probably a tiny little animal, but it was creeping me out so much. And I was like, that's fun. It's fun when something small and sweet can be so scary. And I'd heard at some point that it's really good to write a holiday movie because they're really easy to pitch out because streamers are always looking for them. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? That could be a bunny on the rooftop. And I just flowed with that. And I was like, I'm going to make a scary bunny movie.
Do you have, this is for all of you, do you have like a favorite holiday film, like a nostalgic film that you look back on and like, ooh, this reminds me of Christmas. This reminds me of 4th of July. Do you have any favorites?
Oh my gosh.
For horror in particular, or just any
just in general?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. For me, Halloween is, a classic, obviously to watch at Halloween, but also like, I love Home Alone. I literally watch that every Christmas. Like I'm a little kid. Like I just love that movie so much.
Oh yeah. Can't go wrong there. How about you two?
For me, probably Hocus Pocus is one of my favorite Halloween movies. And Joe, you and I have watched Muppet Christmas Carol. That's gotta be my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
Oh, I love that movie too.
Yes.
For me, I watch like every Christmas movie every year, and all the bad ones that come out. But Elf, I think, is Christmas for me.
I love it. One of my favorites, and the tone just from watching the trailer kind of reminded me of this. I love, and we've probably watched this together, Alison, I love Krampus. It came out 7 or 8 years ago, a Christmas horror film with a lot of camp and a lot of humor in it and a lot of practical puppets and things like that. It's like, oh, this just looks right up my alley. So
yes, I love that comparison. That is perfect. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's a Christmas staple of mine. Every year, I force somebody to sit down and watch Krampus with me because it's so good.
And this is a tangent, but I was in New Zealand and we went to the Weta workshop where they built all the stuff for Lord of the Rings. They also did Krampus, and so we saw some of the practicals for that, and I was blown away. I love that movie because of how they used the puppetry and everything. We definitely leaned into that in our film as well.
It's a lost art form of puppetry and miniatures within filmmaking, in my opinion. Here in Atlanta, there's a museum here that is like the National Museum of Puppetry, where they have all of the Henson, Dark Crystal, Sesame Street, everything like that. So if you're ever in Atlanta, come check that out because it's really cool to see all of these puppets, all of these animatics and things like that. So
yes, thank you for that. I will definitely go there. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, check it out.
I'm totally into that. We used all practical effects in Easter Bloody Easter. We had Jesse Velez of Raptor House Effects who did our demon bunnies. He created the hand on Wednesday, Netflix.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was incredible to have him and all these, demon puppets. And then we had a couple of different wonderful special effects people create the jackalope costume for that character. And again, all of our blood was done in camera, all that stuff. I grew up watching that kind of stuff, and it was really important to do it in camera and not, have to rely on it, doing it in post. I think there's something really special about seeing it done when you're doing it in camera as opposed to afterward.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because like we said, it's kind of a lost art form, and a lot of the reasons why they move towards digital effects is budgetary reasons. It's because we can create this amazing landscape, the CGI landscape on a computer, or we could have these technicians working on all of these miniatures, and that could take weeks or months to get that final image. So when it came to Easter Bloody Easter, how did that factor into the budget, and how important was it to bring those practicals to life on screen?
Yeah, it was really important to do it in camera, because I think that the nature of the film is very much quirky, and we wanted to up the camp value, certainly, of the film. And I think doing it in camera as opposed to doing it in post really elevated all of the different kills.
Definitely.
And I think, budget wise, we were really lucky because we got incredible people to do our special effects who really know what they're doing and wanted to do it. And we talked through every single kill. We talked through, how each thing was going to be laid out, how it was going to happen. And, I think that originally there were some things that Alison wrote that were amazing. I think at one point, like, the whole town was destroyed, and it was like, Steven Spielberg style. And I was just like, Alison, we can't do it that way. We cannot have the airplane hit Wilbur, Texas, So we had to kind of dial back some of it. And we figured out a way how to do it that would work for our budget, but was also really exciting for the audience. And that, we were able to really hit those things, have a high kill count, as they say, which is important, certainly in horror film, and really just bring the magic of practical effects to this film. And we are so grateful to the artists that we have, because their talent really shines through on this, and it was important for us to do that.
When you have a character that's CGI, it's a lot harder to latch onto it. And I think it's so much more fun to have a villain that's real and solid, and the bunnies are actual creatures. So yeah, I always find it more interesting watching practicals than CGI.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up. Is you all have an acting background, so I'm sure you appreciated having that physical interaction on set versus you have to go in as the director, Diane, say, it'll be here later. We're going to have a monster here later. Kind of use your imagination. It's such a different game to be interacting on set, even if it is with a puppet.
It was more fun that way. Even the jackalope, he was a big human, and then in the costume, it was easy to react to him. So I appreciated that effect.
Yeah, he was 7 feet tall with the costume on, because it's so huge, and then it has ears and horns and all of that stuff. And it was really cool because he was Jamie Klein, who played the jackalope, did all the physicality of the jackalope, and then Miles Cooper, who voices the role, was there on set, and he was reading the dialogue right next to camera as Jamie was doing the physicality. And that really allowed us to interact with him and really play. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. Creativity is about playing. And we were able to do that because, everyone was totally in and was like, let's go there. This is a giant jackalope and we are talking to him.
I love it. And you've brought all this nightmare fuel to life, Alison. Thank you so much for making your own personal nightmares a feature film.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate it. And we're kind of delving into the world of producing. Kelly, I'd like to hear a little bit about, you said this is your first time producing, correct?
Yes.
How did you find both the balancing act of acting and producing, but how was producing overall for you? How was the experience?
Just a huge learning experience for me. And like Diane has done this in the past. So like watching her and like all these moving parts that she had to keep track of. And like we were in production meetings. So usually as an actor, I just have to worry about my lines, script, and when I need to be on set. And now it's like, oh, there's so much before shooting. Like we had meetings every week and the script was changing a lot and locations. So it was a lot of work, really.
Yeah.
And just going back to Diane, I don't know how she does it because it can be overwhelming. I'm like, how do you keep track of all this? So being a very organized person, I think matters as a producer.
Yeah. And which aspect of producing did you find the most surprising, as far as surprisingly difficult? Something like, I didn't think about this aspect. What part of the producing made you stop and pause and be like, well, now I have new respect for producers everywhere?
I think it's everything that can go wrong, and you got to be a fixer. So, because that you can't really prepare for that. You can go in as prepared as possible, but then you also have to have a cool head. And it's never, especially watching Diane, it was never, we can't do this. It's how are we going to do it? And how are we going to move forward? That was always the mindset. So to me, that was like the biggest learning thing that I got from it.
I imagine you have to put on a really good face and not show, oh no, how are we going to figure this out? How are we going to puzzle this back together? The rest of the crew has to look at you and be like, no, they got it covered. They understand what's going on. Diane, one more time, all of these titles that you had, list them out for us, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Diane Foster. And I am the director, star, producer, and production company for Easter Bloody Easter. This is my feature film directorial debut. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about that. How has the experience been?
Honestly, the most amazing thing, other than being a mom, truly, this has been the most amazing experience ever. And when Alison wrote the script, she said to me, I want you to direct this. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh, really, me? And, I just have been producing forever. And I have done, music videos that I've directed and things like that. And I really appreciated that so much because it gave me the confidence to move forward and say like, okay, I can do this. Somebody who I love and admire so much, and in Alison Lobel, who is supremely talented and just an amazing person, believes that like I can take her script and like make this world on film. And I loved every minute of it. And I'm like a director monster. I'm like, I can't stop. I want to direct every movie ever. Because it's so exciting. It really is. And I think that my type of personality lends itself to directing. It really does. It's like, I love it. I love working with actors. I love talking to the crew. I love creating a world. And it's something that I've really found in myself. It is a lane for me that I'm really excited to continue doing. And I cannot wait for audiences to see this. I think what Alison wrote, and then, me being in the director's chair and being able to, bring it to life, it was a really incredible experience. And I just want to do more and more.
I can't wait for you to do that. And what was the most difficult thing specifically jumping between acting in the project and directing? How do you juggle those two roles?
Yeah, I think that was the most challenging part, was sort of, going back and forth with that, because, Jeannie, the role of her, I mean, she's a very dynamic woman and she has a lot going on in this film. So it wasn't just kind of stepping in front of the camera and just reading lines. It was a lot of work to, create this woman and her world and all of that. And I think, honestly, having a wonderful team that I trusted was really important, to know that I can be in front of the camera. And we worked for months and months in pre-production. And really and truly, I say this to anyone who is making a film, you must do that work. You must do that foundational work in pre-production. Spend as much time as you can before you ever step foot on set, because those relationships that I created in pre-production were vital to me trusting that I was going to do this scene and I can say, can we move on? And that we've got it. Okay, great. We can move on. Next. And if I didn't have that feeling with all of the team that we made during pre-production, I would not have been able to be comfortable enough to then say, okay, we can move on. And then once I get to the edit room, oh no, like, what do I have? So I knew going into it, okay, I feel really good about this. My particular portion, I can move on. There were definitely scenes where I was like, I want to see playback, but on a film like this, we don't have a lot of time to do that. So I had to trust. I can't watch every scene I do. I couldn't watch it back over and over again. So I just needed to myself, first of all, be prepared as an actor and do my due diligence of who I was as this character of Jeannie, and then be able to just flip that hat back and forth of like, okay, cool, we got it, moving on, and then come behind the camera and watch the actor that I just acted with and then direct them. So it was exciting. And honestly, again, I think with my type of personality, it works. So I love that. I love the challenge, and I would do it a million times over again.
Yeah, I think that the key takeaway from there is the trust that you have in your co-stars and your department heads. Kevin Smith, the director, always says that the best directors are the people that have complete trust in their department heads. They say, okay, you are art department, you're going to bring me the best ideas, and I'm going to say yes or no to this. We're going to work together and move forward. But it's bringing the director some of your best ideas, and then yes or noing those. And passing on those if you have to. And I'm sure you've already assembled such a great team from being the head of WallyBird. So how many of these crew members have you worked with previously?
Well, interestingly enough, some of the department heads I had worked with on other WallyBird productions, and I knew, okay, these people are going to be really great to work with again, especially like the hair and makeup team. A couple of the producers were actually people that I had never worked with before in that capacity. I had worked with them maybe in a different capacity. Maybe they had done different roles on a film, and I saw, okay, these people are really engaged and they give their all to it. And that was a key factor as well. And I think it really came down to, every single person who stepped foot on set, we interviewed prior to them actually stepping foot on set. It was really important to bring a certain kind of energy to the set. We were going to be working long hours. And because, I had to wear so many hats, and because Alison and Kelly also had to wear so many hats, it was really important that we had a very cohesive team that was like, okay, we're all in. I'm going to pass this football and you're going to catch it and run to, the end of the line there and score a touchdown. Like, it was important to do that because it really is a team sport. And I think, what I've found from watching other directors is, as a director, you really want to say, I want to surround myself with people who know more than me. And, if you can do that, then you're golden, because, these people are bringing their expertise and their passion for it. And I really think that was the thing at the end of the day. Some of the people we knew, some we didn't, but we worked again a lot in pre-production to really, ensure that once we got on set, we were going to be able to take any challenges that came to us head on. And sure, at the end of the day, things are constantly changing on a film set, but we were prepared going into it, and we had those relationships of, we're working, every single week, getting on Zooms and talking to one another and talking this through, so that we had that trust moving forward going into it.
And I know from our previous conversations how WallyBird is, I think you describe it as being committed to fostering diversity and equality across the board. Can you talk a little bit about how that was accomplished on this production?
Yes, that is vital to the mission of WallyBird Productions. We want to see both in front and behind the camera people who are diverse. We want to see a lot of females, and we were able to do that on this film. We were actually awarded the Reframe Stamp from Women in Film, which is a collaboration of the Sundance Institute and IMDb for having gender parity. We were incredibly lucky and grateful to have a 95% female identifying crew. And we also have a very large cast. We had a lot of females in the cast as well. And it was just great to look around and be like, wow, look at all these badass females on set every single day who are just bringing their A game. And I just love it so much, because I think historically women, a lot of times our stories are written by men. And it's just hard to actually go like, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right, because that's not how we live it, because we actually live in those shoes every single day. So I think being able to not only give opportunities to the stories of women, but also to the roles in especially leadership positions is so important, vital to my mission at WallyBird, that we are, moving that needle forward and making sure that women are seen and heard, and we are hearing their stories, and we are giving them the opportunities that they don't normally get. And I just want to keep looking around my sets and seeing incredible, diverse females all the time. We're going to keep doing that at WallyBird, and I'm so grateful that we did that on Easter Bloody Easter, and also that we were, seen for it from the Reframe stamp from Women in Film. That's a huge, just a huge accolade to get, especially with all the films that they do give that to. So we're really grateful to have it.
Congratulations on that. And it is more difficult than anyone could imagine to have all of these departments filled with women, because the breakdown by department is pretty vast. Men versus women, how like the percentages. I remember when I worked at the Directors Guild, we got the breakdown of the directors, and those were closer to equal. But then we also got the breakdown from the Cinematographers Union, and that was like 95% men, male DPs, and 5% women. So it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the numbers are actually horrifying. It's like watching a horror movie. It's like, wow. And I think, year after year, it just, it's changing, yes, but we have to keep pushing it. And even when we were hiring for this, it was like searching sometimes for, we want to have females in this position, and we're like going through the weeds trying to find them because the numbers are so small. And Alexa Cha, who is our cinematographer, it was her first feature film. She has now gone on to work at Universal Music Group, and she does all kinds of music videos for huge pop stars. And to see her go from, her feature film debut as a cinematographer to now doing what she's doing, it lights me up. And I love that. And just seeing all the incredible women that we worked with and what they're doing. And, it's really about the women who have come before us, who are the trailblazers, who have been able to allow us to be in these positions. And I think, as long as I live, I'm going to continue moving that forward for the women that are behind me, and also for the women that have come before me, to say thank you for, giving me the opportunity to be in this position. It really means a lot. So, yeah, we have to keep doing it. And if you are in a position to be able to hire people, really think about that you want to give women, and you want to give people who are diverse an opportunity, because, they don't normally get to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And Alison,
yes.
I want to know, how does it feel to see your script transformed from the page into a full production? And were there any moments that were particularly surreal on set?
Yeah, it was very cool. I've written many things, but I've never had anything produced before. So it was one of the coolest things was just the first day showing up and seeing all these people working together to make something that I'd written, like just seeing all the tents get set up and like people in costumes and makeup and all of the art department and everyone who'd read my script and imagined what it would be. And nothing was exactly how I imagined it would be, but it was just even better because there were so many different minds and creative ideas that were forming that was like grander than I could have ever imagined. And I think the most rewarding was the first day I saw the jackalope on set and just being like, oh my God, this monster is real. I imagined it and now he's here. Like that had to be the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. So yeah, it was just unreal seeing my script come to life.
And we mentioned earlier that with the script, Diane said, "Well, we can't have, what was it, a helicopter crash? What happened?"
I don't know if we specifically had a helicopter crash, but we did have a big. Okay. I think the whole town got destroyed. We did have a motorcycle jump over a cliff, and that had to go.
Yeah, I want to know how that is going to affect your screenwriting moving forward. Do you still want to shoot for the stars, or are you going to try to be a little bit more pragmatic with your scripts and have that adaptation process and figure that out with the budget? Where are you going to fall now as a writer?
That's a really good question. I think, yeah, I like in a first draft to just like let my mind go where it wants to go and just feel it and like not worry too much about budget. But having said that, I've actually already written the sequel to Easter Bloody Easter. And I would say it's quite a bit cheaper than the first one. Like it's going to be huge and grand and amazing. But I think I do have a more practical mind for what costs a lot of money. And I think subconsciously I must have thought about that while I was writing this because I'm like, oh, I actually have less locations this time.
And thank goodness you didn't destroy the town.
And I didn't have a helicopter building.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Diane. Yeah, so I think I still like to go where my mind goes, but I think I have a better idea of what budget I actually have going forward.
Any other genres that you want to dabble in?
I actually am currently writing a kind of enchanted kind of movie. I worked as a party princess for many years, and so I'm writing for the first time something that is not horror at all. It's pure comedy, fish out of water kind of film. So that's been fun. I keep wanting to throw in some blood or some murder. And I'm like, this movie doesn't need blood and murder. It's a different thing. And yeah, so I've been dabbling in that. But I think I'll always write something funny. I think that's just what I like to do.
Jumping off of that, let's talk a little bit about bringing Kelly on board as a producer. Her first time in this role. What was the conversation that happened between the two of you, and why now for producing on your end, Kelly?
I think the three of us, I don't know, this again came from the play, and then it was just always the three of us. We're always like, we're doing this, we're moving this forward. And I wasn't really expecting to be a producer, but Diane and Alison have always like kept me there, and I was excited to learn. Like I never had quite the thought of producing or the opportunity. So I don't know if it was ever a conversation. It just kind of happened. And I was like, okay, let's go. I have a lot of more learning to do, and a lot more watching Diane do what she does. Because like she said, it does take a personality to do it. But I did like it. I liked being I like seeing the movie like from the ground up. That was really exciting. So I like being involved, I think, that from the very, very beginning and just seeing this come to life, because it's kind of it's amazing, like how a movie ever gets made.
Oh, yeah.
It's a miracle. And I will say Kelly is an amazing producer because Kelly is a great person and she keeps great relationships. And that's really part of being a great producer is, coming up with solutions based on, oh, I know this person and I have this thing and, oh, we can do that. And I think that that's what Kelly is really great at. And I think she doesn't realize what an amazing producer she is. As well as an amazing actress and just a beautiful person, period. So I hope that you continue doing it, Kelly, because you're absolutely fabulous. And by the way, we have a lot more of these Easter films to make, so you are definitely producing those as well.
Sounds like you're coming back, Kelly.
I think
Whether you like it or not, you're a producer now.
Yep, it's in me now.
Let's talk a little bit about the distribution process for a project like this. Distribution is one of the most daunting aspects as a filmmaker. It can stop a lot of creatives from even taking a chance on their projects. What was the distribution process like for Easter Bloody Easter?
it is an immense part of for this film and filmmaking. And I learned a lot through this process. Yes, I, run WallyBird Productions, but never had quite, the trajectory of doing it from inception all the way through distribution. And it is a ton of work, and it's a sort of like a mystery. You make a movie and a lot of people don't talk about distribution. They really don't go into the ins and outs of it because there is so much to it. We spent, we shot for, it was almost 20 days, something like that, which is, pretty standard for an indie film. And then we spent about a year and a half in post-production. And the movie was actually done in 2023. It was done last year. But I had hired sales agents to come on board the film because my idea from the beginning with this film was, I had done a lot of film festivals, certainly with all the other films at WallyBird Productions, but really this film was like, we want to go direct to distribution, and we want to be in, millions of households all over the world. And in order to do that, we wanted to obviously get a sales agent on board right away. And I had taken, distribution courses and things like that on, online platforms. Stage 32 is an amazing one. So I knew that going into it. So hired the sales agent, and they were like, this movie is wonderful. They loved it, and it's going to sell really, really well. But we have to wait until 2024 for it to come out. So it was a whole nother year. So the movie was already done, but we were just kind of in a waiting game of making it happen. And of course, everyone was reaching out like, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? And I'm like, just be patient. And I think that's the other thing is like, as a filmmaker, just like, stay true to the vision. Don't let people push you around of like, it has to come out now. Do it when it's supposed to, and do it right. And, the amazing thing about this film is that every distributor that we went out to, I would say almost every distributor we went out to wanted to put the movie out. And even when I went out to sales agents, it was like, I contacted them directly and they all were like, we want this movie. And what a thrilling, amazing thing to hear. Yes, 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 especially in this business, because you normally hear no all the time. So I knew we had something really special, going through that process. So once we had the sales agent, it was really, up to them to then sell to, find a distributor who was going to put us out, essentially worldwide. And we're coming out with Gravitas Ventures in America. And then we also sold to Latin America. We also sold to the UK. So we will be definitely in those this Easter. And then, we're going to be in every territory in the world. It's just a matter of time and getting out to those places. So the process is long, and I think that the thing that filmmakers need to know about the process of distribution is there's a lot of delivery and a lot of technical aspects to distribution. Yes, your film, but there's also other things: clearance, title reports, captions, subtitles. There's all these things that you don't think about when you are making a movie. And then you have to kind of do that on the other side. And you're like, oh, I realize I need to do this, which also costs money. It is not cheap to go through distribution. So there is a whole process, and you have to, be cleared, and there's all contracts and all these kinds of things. So it really is very much the business of show. So I think it's important for filmmakers to understand that. And I really want to dive deep into that more, and obviously happy to talk to you about it further, but also like just to talk to other filmmakers about the process of distribution, because there really is a lot to it. And it's not just, okay, my film is done, now everybody gets to see it. You have your distribution, you get your distribution partners, and then you have to plan a release. And that release is your publicists and the people that are marketing the film with you from the distributor. So there's teams of people that it's their job to do this. So you're constantly meeting with them and talking to them. And it's about taking the brand of the movie and then putting it out worldwide to audiences. And what does that look like? So distribution is, I would say, sort of like the sixth tier of filmmaking. And it really is part of the process. And you have to be willing to go through it and do it, because it does take time, energy, and money to do that. So knowing that moving forward and going into your film, these are going to be things that you have to do.
And I imagine you also have to battle some of the stigma of left brain, right brain, artistic versus technical. A lot of people will say, I'm just the artist. I don't really want to dive into the business side. But to be successful, you got to blend both of those together, correct?
Absolutely. And also really being able to separate you as the creator, and especially for me on this film as the director, and sort of what I envision and that creative part. And then also the producer side, which is like, well, this is the way that it has to be, or this is the way that, they're wanting to present it, and sort of melding those two things together and not being emotional about it. You really have to remove the emotion when making a film. You're creative, and there's a lot of emotions that come with that, which is beautiful and wonderful. But as far as this being a business, which it is, show business, you really have to, have your head on straight of, oh, this is what it has to be. And this is how we're going to move forward with it. And just being able to separate yourself really is really important, and not take things personally, I think, is the biggest thing. And, we are releasing a film, and there's going to be people who love this movie. There's going to be people who absolutely hate it. And, there's going to be champions and all that stuff. And just going into it going like, we made what we wanted to make, and we love it. I love this movie so much. It makes me laugh hysterically when I just even think about some of the scenes. And I'm excited for that. And I know that audiences are going to love it. But you always have people in the mix. Not everybody loves everything, and that's okay. I don't love everything. So being able to separate yourself and go, I'm not going to take this personally. It's not for everybody, and that's cool. But I know the audience who this is for, and that's who we made this movie for. We made this movie for us, and we made that for them as well.
Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about having to disconnect yourself from some of your emotions when it comes to the artistic product, I'm curious, Alison, did you have to do a lot of that with presenting this script and then saying, well, this has to be changed, this, like, I like this, we'll keep this? Was it difficult for you emotionally to see this in the development process, the pre and the production?
Definitely. I mean, it's always hard to separate yourself from your art, but I had a really good team with me giving me notes, and oftentimes I'd get some notes and I'd be like, I don't know about that. And then I'd think a couple days and I'm like, oh, they're totally right. I definitely need to change it. So yeah, the script changed so much in the months leading up to shooting. I was writing all the time. And at first it was hard. And I think it made me a much better writer to be able to like disconnect a little bit and just like look at the film practically, as opposed to like it being my child. And I've definitely done that more since writing this film, because I've learned not to look at it kind of as I would as an audience member, the way I'll watch a movie and be like, oh, I wish they'd done this and this and this. And thinking about that with my film, I'd be like, how would I feel if I were sitting down and watching this? Would I be kind of bored at this point? And so, yeah, it definitely has helped me a lot as an artist to be able to go in things a little more practically, as well as being able to jump in and be on the journey and just be the artist. So like, it's good to have both, to be able to look at things in all the different ways.
And you always hear people say, don't go into business with your friends. Don't lend money to your friends. Don't do creative activities with your friends, because you never know what sort of wedge that can cause within friendships. For all three of you, how was dealing with being friends and being professionals and artists? How did those all blend together on this project?
I mean, it was wonderful. Honestly, the pre-production stuff was stressful going into it. Like, I was like, I've never done anything like this before. But the minute we were all on set together, it was the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, everywhere I looked, I was like, I love that person. I love that person. And everyone was working their asses off. And it was one of the best film experiences I've ever had being on this set. Like, it was just an absolute joy.
Yeah, I agree with Allison. Like every day was just all of August was a blast. Like, and it felt like family. And any day I get to be with these two, I'm like, it's a good day. And then we get to act together. Like, yes, that's why we're doing this. We just like each other.
Yeah, I will also say those sentiments as well. I mean, I love Allison and Kelly so much as people, but then being able to create with them and, go on this journey of Jeannie, Carol, and Mary Lou is just like, wow, how could it be any better? And I think actually it made our friendship even stronger. I mean, I look at both of them as like my sisters. Like I would stop traffic for both of them. I would do anything for either one of them. And I think working together in that capacity, it really made me realize what incredible people they both are. And like, oh wow, I have some really incredible badass women that I'm friends with who are not only talented but like good people. And that just makes you feel good, and it makes you like trust yourself that like, oh, I've got great people in my life. And it really has given, I think, our friendship a level to it that, I actually don't have with anyone else. And it's really beautiful.
What I enjoyed was looking through your IMDb for this project and saying, "Oh, I know that person. I know this person. I know this person," and you're all so good at maintaining good relationships with good people, which is so important to this process. Let's talk a little bit about the music of this film and how that came to be.
Yes, we
Yeah.
had it.
Go for it, Allison.
Oh, okay, well, I'll talk a little bit and then you should talk more because you know Mark much better than I do. But I just want to say Mark Vogel created this amazing tapestry of music for this film. He created different themes for our jackalope and for Jeannie, and it really helps tell the story. And it's got that classic like 80s camp. A lot of times that really is the creature feature music. And we have an album coming out with all the songs. And yeah, I am blown away by what Mark did for this film. It's what made the film work. Because I saw the early cut and I was like, this is fantastic. And then I saw it with all the music and I was like, oh my God, this is epic. Mark really did a magical job with this film.
Yes, absolutely. Mark Vogel is a dream. He's become like my brother through this process. I met him through we have the same publicist, and she was like, you have to meet him. And we met and it was instant. We were just instant connection. And when Allison had written the script and she had already had some songs, and she knew that I was a singer, and she was like, I want Jeannie to sing in this. And, we're going to have other people singing in it at the Easter Palooza. And I was like, fantastic. And went to Mark. And that was very, very early on in the process. And I just said, do you want to make an Easter film about a giant jackalope killing people? And he was like, I am totally in. And we worked tirelessly together to create the sound of this. And Mark is somebody who is so talented. We work so well together. I would just say to him, I'm thinking this. And he would go, oh yeah, like this. And then do on the piano in the studio. And I'm like, yes, that's it. And that is how the entire thing came to be. We just went back and forth. He created the jackalope theme. He literally created a theme for every single character in the film. There are over 75 pieces of music in the film, and that is not even including songs. So it is a very musical movie. That's why I say all the time, it's very much like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, because people are going to be singing along to this movie as much as they are going to be laughing and screaming at the same time. So what an amazing process to work with him, somebody who really knows themselves as a musician and can bring a sound, which, film and music together. I mean, that is it. And we also had Pekka Thomas, who's the sound designer. And between, all three of, us working together, it was just a really magical combination. We have a soundtrack coming out, which is incredible, which has, there's 10 songs that are on the soundtrack. There's even more songs in the film. So we're really, really excited about it because they are they're Easter classics. And we really wanted to make songs that people could sing every single Easter. And that is absolutely what you're going to get with this movie. So it's incredible. And just the way that he, kind of came up with different things. And, we recorded bunnies like actually eating carrots and then kind of warped that sound. It was just all these like really kooky kind of creative things to create the sound of not only Easter Bloody Easter, but WallyBird, Texas, and these people who live there. And what an amazing experience. And I'll work with Mark a million times over. He really got it. He really got the movie. He got the humor. He got the horror element. People are just going to absolutely love it when they hear it.
And that soundtrack will be available on Spotify. And
yes, and it's also on a limited edition collector's vinyl, which is so exciting because the record itself is peep yellow colored. So it is a really cool collector's edition. We're not making a ton of them. It's limited, so you absolutely have to get it while it's hot. We're working with LBC Badger Records, which is a cool Long Beach, record company. And they're putting out the vinyl, and it's really cool.
You're making all of our nostalgic hearts so happy. You got the vinyl, you got the Blu-ray, you got the DVD. We can have all our physical medium for this one.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about, and this is again for all three of you, what do you hope that audiences take away from watching Easter Bloody Easter?
I hope that they have just the time of their lives. I hope that they scream a little bit and laugh a lot. And I hope that they just remember these creatures and that they think about them that night when they try to go to sleep and they get a little scared the way I would.
Yeah, I just hope everyone just has a blast and laughs and gets the song stuck in their head. And I want it to be like a rewatch, like you watch, because like Rocky Horror, and like Diane was saying, you want people to dress up and just like have it be this thing they watch every Easter.
Yes, I would also say that. I think I want people to take away, I want them to have an amazing time. I want them to laugh, scream, and sing along. And I also want them to look at the world that we created and go, wow, I really love that town of WallyBird, Texas. Those are some crazy, kooky ass people. And look around at it and just go like, that's the world that we all live in. And I think that's what's even more exciting is that we have a super diverse cast and everyone is so wonderfully talented in it. And I hope that audiences go like, this is so cool that people that you wouldn't normally see together in this movie are together in this movie, and that they enjoy it, they laugh, and that they watch it with their families over and over again. I think that's the other exciting thing is that it's horror comedy, but it is not, it is something that like you can watch with your grandma, but you can also watch with your like 5-year-old nephew. It's like, it's really for all ages. And I think that's what's so exciting about it is that we finally have an Easter film that families can watch every single year together as a tradition and go like, let's watch Easter Bloody Easter and have a blast and just laugh together, sing together, and keep doing it for years to come.
I love it. I feel like we need a film to fill that slot because we all have the Christmas films. We all have the horror films for Halloween. But there's a few that kind of fall through the cracks, and that's Thanksgiving, even though they have planes, trays, and automobiles is usually what people go to there. But as far as Easter goes, I don't really have a film that I'd be reaching for. And you've talked
But now you do.
Now I do. And you talked a bit about, you've mentioned Rocky Horror a couple of times and how that's an interactive experience when you're watching that film. Was that something you had in mind before shooting, or is it like, did you find that in the editing process? Where did that idea come about?
Yeah, definitely that was through the editing process. I didn't think of that like going into it. I realized that we had a lot of music as we were going through. And I think through the editing process, working with Mark, We already obviously had songs. Alison had written some songs to be in the film. But through that process, I was like, oh, wow, we're like creating a lot of music, and watching through the edit and then working in the studio with Mark. It was like, this needs this sound and this needs this music. And it just became more and more musical as sort of we went through it. And it was so exciting because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally, first of all, my background. I come from musical theater. So as a musical theater nerd, I was like, I am so excited about this. And I think other people are going to be too. And sort of as we went through it, and the characters are so unique, and like each character has its own thing. It's had its own look. It's like own, you're going to want to be like Eugene at Halloween. You're going to want to be Mary Lou. You're going to want to, you're going to want to be these characters at Easter, whatever. And I think as we went through it, I really started to realize, oh, wow, like this is so much like Rocky Horror. And, the songs are so fantastic. And, you just are singing them. And Pekka Thomas, our sound designer, who's so incredible, and we were very lucky to get him, he kept saying to me, this movie is an earworm. It is an earworm. It just sticks with you in your ears over and over again. He's like, I'm just walking around the grocery store and I just hear Carol saying this in my ear, or I hear these the dialogue from the film. So it's just exciting because someone like that, who is a many-time Emmy Award-winning sound designer, for him to have an earworm of this movie was like, okay, we've done something really, really right. So yeah, I think people are going to really get that when they watch it. So it's exciting. We want people to dress up and sing along, every Easter.
Yeah. Are you going to bring any of that dressing up, that quirkiness to the premiere? Are there any plans for that yet?
Oh, yes. We absolutely are going to. There's going to be many surprises. I don't want to, divulge too much. But there is going to be some very fun people who are going to be on the red carpet with us, who are going to show up in a very exciting way. So I guess you'll just have to be there to see it. But of course, everyone who is in the virtual world, they will get to see it, because we will absolutely have a videographer there capturing it all.
Yes, and someone you might know too, Joe, might be there dressed up in a certain way.
Of course. I would assume no less from this production at this point.
And I'll also say that the dress code for our premiere is Easter Best, Dark Easter, or Glamour Cowboy, or a little of all.
If the listeners are not in the Los Angeles area, now's a great time. Why don't you plug wherever we can follow you on socials and how we can watch it at home?
Okay, I'll start. You can follow me at Diane Foster Official on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can follow WallyBird Productions, which is my production company, at WallyBird Productions on Instagram. And you can also pre-order the film right now on iTunes, Apple TV. Please go to the link in my bio on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You'll get that link right away. It is imperative for independent filmmakers to get lots of pre-orders on their movie. So we appreciate and are so grateful for the support. It helps us get elevated on iTunes and Apple TV so that more and more people will see it. So if you pre-order, what you're doing is giving independent filmmakers an opportunity to have their work seen. And we have over 100 creatives working on this film that were just passionate and wanting to do it. So I implore all of you to please go and support and pre-order with the link that I am sure that you will put in the notes. So we appreciate it.
Yeah. And Kelly and Alison, you want to plug some of yours as well?
Sure. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at I am Kelly Grant. And if you're into charcuterie, follow Fromage and Fare as well, which we'll have some at the premiere, because I just started a little side business.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And Alison?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Alison Lobel.
Amazing. I will again put all of these links in the show notes so everyone can go and please check them out. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for being here today, for chatting with us about Easter Bloody Easter. This was really informative, and I'm even more excited than I was beforehand to see this. I already got my pre-order on iTunes, so I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this, and I hope to see some really, really cool pictures from the premiere.
Thank you so much, Joe. This has been so fun talking to you from across the country.
I know.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I wish I could be there with you guys.
I wish that too.
We wish too. You're always so wonderful, and can't thank you enough for all your great questions and your amazing energy, and just support in general has been instrumental. So thank you so much.
Of course. And you're all welcome back at any time. I'm sure we got the sequel that you might be producing. You have many other projects with WallyBird. You guys are officially friends of the show. Come back anytime, please.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your day.